GearNetwork.com.
This is a Gear Network production.
Broadcasting worldwide on GearNetwork.com, sharing wrestling news and opinions. It's Talking Wrestling, and your host, JC.
And hello everyone, welcome to episode 39. Yes, this, the 39th episode of the original flagship show here on the Gear Radio Network. This is Talking Wrestling. Hello everyone, John Cimino, aka JC Money, here with you, and I'm going to talk some wrestling for you on this 39th edition. We are one away from 40, can you believe that? I know I can't. I'll tell you what though, I probably could believe it because I just did 40 for Get Ready America, and that was pretty solid. We're prepping for 41 because, you know, well, this is a wrestling podcast, not Get Ready America, so I don't need to divulge into politics or any of that crap, but you can hear us on there once we get that up and running. But real quick, my babies, let's go ahead. Let's pay some bills here. As always, this podcast in its entirety is sponsored by our Amazon store at GearNetwork.com/Amazon. Check it out. We have built a brand new store on there. It is awesome. It is phenomenal. Believe me, right, Donald Trump? Believe me. I have read things, and these things tell me that this store is great. Believe me. Yeah, I don't like Donald Trump, but you should go to the Gear Network store anyways. There's a lot of cool stuff on there, a lot of cool promotions. We're approaching the dog days of summer, and with that, summer deals still. The cool summer supplies that you wanted to get when it was spring, well, now those are getting discounted because we're starting to reach the end of summer, so check that out. There's also back-to-school specials. There's a lot of stuff on there as far as back-to-school goes, and I got some prices, some new prices for Amazon Prime. You can try it monthly, but I'll get into that a little later on as well, because right now we are here, we are on Gear, and we are talking wrestling. So how's it going, everybody? Big week in the world of pro wrestling. Talking not just local, because the IWF show just happened this past week, and I almost worked that show. Was very, very close to it. I got a text that from a buddy of mine, and I won't say who because I don't want to give it away, you know, for story purposes or anything like that. But a buddy of mine did reach out to me and said, "Hey, I listened to your podcast along with 1,800 other listeners. Thank you so much, by the way, for that. That's awesome. Just the fact that this season of Talking Wrestling has taken off the way it has." It's not me, it's you guys. Kudos to all of you. Good, bad, feedback, whatever. I don't care. I've heard it all, and I've learned from it, and hopeful, and clearly this podcast has done me proud and done you guys proud too. And I don't know, man, this season's been great. So I'm over here drinking this Founders All Day IPA. Had a couple of them now, so I'm feeling a little nice today. Nice. Like Ryan Wolf's favorite number, which I won't say. You're going to have to listen to Better Live Than Dead to hear that. Nice. Hashtag nice. But it's been a big week in professional wrestling, and really a big month in professional wrestling, with the WWE going back to the brand split. With WWE going back to the brand split. Both Raw and SmackDown once again are separate shows. They're going to have separate rosters. They're going to have separate looks and feels, and really recycling what they did in 2002 or 2003, I think, with the original one. But notwithstanding, I think it's pretty good, all things considering. Triple H and NXT have been developing stars left and right. I mean, you've got, Finn Balor, who made his way up there. Even the current crop that's up there right now, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, all Triple H signings, all down there in NXT when it was FCW, and then it became NXT, and then they got called up to the main stage. I mean, and you see what they've got going down there now. They have Samoa Joe, who's already been an established star anyways, but him being there really helps add credibility to it. But Bayley and Shinsuke Nakamura, again, another longtime star being down there, really helps take the stage. stars like American Alpha that have come up through there. They're now on the SmackDown brand. They're a pretty awesome tag team. If you haven't seen them, they'll be on SmackDown in 2 weeks, so check them out. But it's been big. The draft was last week. The gang from Turnbuckle Talk Radio just covered it completely, just covered it spectacularly. That was episode 9 that they had last week. 10's coming this week. I got a little spoiler. There's going to be an announcement for episode 11 on episode 10 of Turnbuckle Talk Radio. I know exactly what it is, and I am not at liberty to discuss, so I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell everybody out there, if you want to hear this exclusive announcement for Turnbuckle Talk's 11th episode here on Gear, 11 already, kudos to you guys. You got to listen to episode 10, which is going to come out after this podcast comes out, likely either on Friday or Saturday. Depends on when I get it, honestly. Pat G, you're on the clock there. But so, yes, if you're listening here, listen there. Because I tell you what, when they make that announcement for episode 11, I know I'm going to be glued to it. I know it's going to be a big, big podcast, and kudos to those guys again. It's going to be great. I can't wait to hear it. But, all right, as the title of this particular podcast indicates, Results Central. That's right. So let's go. Let's take you through WWE Battleground. The kickoff match, Breezango went over the Usos, which was very interesting to me. A very, very interesting, I guess, a small push. Although I'm kind of confused as to what they're going to do with the tag team championship, and I'll get into that later on when I start breaking down the titles and everything. But anyways, Breezango over the Usos. Then the main show hits. Sasha Banks and Bayley defeat Charlotte and Dana Brooke. That's right, Bayley from NXT. She was Sasha Banks' mystery partner. The story going into that was Charlotte beat up everybody or whatever. Dana beat up everybody, not sure. Sasha Banks didn't have a partner going in there. She needed help. Hey, here comes her old friend and rival from NXT, Bayley. Got a huge pop. The theme music made Tommy Brewington all happy. Sorry, Tommy, it still doesn't do anything for me, but in any event, Sasha and Bayley over Charlotte and Dana Brooke. Then we had the Wyatt family defeating the New Day. The Wyatt family, their final time together as the Wyatt family, for now, I assume. Both Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan are on the SmackDown brand, and Braun Strowman got drafted to Raw. Nothing on Luke Harper just yet. He's still out on IR. So who knows what's going to happen when Harper comes back, which brand he will be on. If I'm a betting man, I'm betting on Monday night on Raw. But again, WWE has proven me wrong time and time again, and I absolutely love when they do it. So for that sake, I hope I'm wrong. But the Wyatt family defeats the New Day when Xavier Woods was pinned after a Sister Abigail after being freaked out by that little spider walk that Bray Wyatt does. Rusev defeats Zack Ryder to retain the U.S. Championship. A pretty good match there. Zack Ryder kind of came out all patriotic. There was a point in time where I thought he might take it. But you know what? I like what they're doing, both with really with Zack Ryder and with Rusev. But really with Rusev, I really like the direction they're taking with him. And I almost have this feeling that Rusev is going to inadvertently become a babyface, a good guy, while preaching about, being the greatest U.S. champion ever and being an American hero, even though he's not, and that's his gimmick. But I'm seeing cheers. I'm seeing a lot of cheers coming for him, and just the fact that this guy, when he's given the mic, this guy has a personality to him that, if you saw the Jonathan Coachman thing with ESPN, with him and Lana on there, even the Michael Cole interview with him and Lana on there after they announced the engagement, Rusev is absolutely hysterical. Like, I get they want him to be a monster, but he's being a monster, but he can be a very sarcastic prick kind of character, and it's funny to me. So I really like how they're developing him. Sami Zayn defeats Kevin Owens. Match of the night, as most people were saying. It was and when Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens get in the ring and do battle with one another, you're going to get match of the night. They've worked each other so many times, both in WWE, NXT, and as well as the independent scene all around the world. They know each other very, very well. So, of course, they're going to be very comfortable with one another. Match of the night, probably a very easy, not physically, but a very easy night for the both of them. Sammy wins after 2 hell of a kicks. Natalya defeats Becky Lynch by submission. The Miz and Darren Young go to a double countout. Darren Young then, post-match, puts the crossface chicken wing on The Miz. The Miz, of course, managed by Maurice, the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. And Darren Young, managed by WWE Hall of Famer Mr. Bob Backlund. Miz retains the Intercontinental Championship because of that double countout. However, Darren Young snapped after the match, after he put the crossface chicken wing on and finally got off. He was there, staring at his hands, a la Mr. Backlund. That pair is growing on me. Not sure how I felt about it before, but it's starting to grow on me. Plus, Bob Backlund, crazy old Bob Backlund, I love that guy. John Cena, Enzo, and Kaz defeat the Club when John Cena hits the AA off the top rope from the second rope. AJ Styles was on the top rope. John Cena hits the AA off the second rope on AJ Styles, pins him right in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. The Club, as you have seen and as you have heard, has been disbanded. AJ is on AJ's on SmackDown. Gallows and Anderson are on Monday Night Raw, conveniently with Finn Balor. More on Finn Balor in a minute. The highlight reel of Chris Jericho had special guest Randy Orton. Typical highlight reel segment with the antagonist Chris Jericho and the babyface Randy Orton going back and forth. Welcome back chants for Randy Orton. It was his first appearance in, I think, 6 months, I want to say, since his shoulder injury. Good back and forth banter between the two. Randy Orton, of course, with the mic drop after making light of Brock Lesnar's failed UFC drug tests, saying that he, after, what do you need, 20 suplexes to get to Suplex City, but you only need 1 RKO to get to Viperville. No performance enhancement needed. And then drops the mic. And the funny part about that was that Chris Jericho said on the microphone, like, he had this look on his face, like he didn't know that was going to be said. Or maybe he did, and he's a good actor and he's playing it off. But he had this look on his face and he said, you're probably going to pay for that, right? And Randy Orton completely laughing, and again, it could have been a very, very good act on his part, or it could have been complete shoot, says, yeah, you're probably right. So meaning a fine coming or whatever. That didn't happen. The fine didn't happen. But Brock Lesnar is scheduled to return to Monday Night Raw next Monday night. I'm sure there will be a response. Dean Ambrose defeats Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins to retain the WWE Championship, and with that, the WWE Championship is going to stay on SmackDown. So what happens? What do we have now? With the brand split over, SmackDown has both the WWE Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. The two original main WWE Championships dating back to, birth. Raw has the United States title, the Tag Team title, and the Women's Championship. They're also going to be home to the Cruiserweight division, meaning they're going to get the Cruiserweight belt as well. And here was something that was a little surprising. Last Monday night on Raw, I want to say surprising not from the aspect of, we didn't see this one coming, because we did, but how they did it. So, with SmackDown having the WWE Championship, you figured when they dropped the full name, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and just started abbreviating it and calling it the WWE Championship for the past few weeks, you figure that the World Heavyweight Championship was going to be making a return, whether it was the big gold belt or the Winged Eagle belt or whatever. And then, of course, Dean Ambrose defeats Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins at at Battleground, retains the championship. Now, Raw doesn't have a heavyweight title. They made a mention of that. Stephanie and Mick Foley did. However, instead of rebranding or bringing back the World Heavyweight Championship, the big gold belt, the belt that so many people love, bringing that back and going from there, they've created a brand new, I want to say, they referenced it as a heavyweight championship, but they are calling it the WWE Universal Championship. Mick Foley now says that it was named after the WWE Universe. That's why they did that. And the thing about that is there's been plenty of heavyweight championships. There have been, U.S. champions, whatever. A Universal Championship really hasn't been out and about, except for, of course, if you follow the WWC, the World Wrestling Council. Their heavyweight championship is called the WWC Universal Heavyweight Championship, which is currently held by Carlito Caribbean Cool. That championship has been out, I believe, since 1982. So I wonder if, they consulted with Carlos Colon in the WWC or anything like that before taking the name, the Universal Championship. If they're going to reference it as the Universal Heavyweight Championship, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about the whole Universal title thing, but maybe it'll grow on me. Who knows? Considering the match that's going to be had at SummerSlam, because they did a little mini tournament, they named Seth Rollins. Stephanie McMahon named Seth Rollins already as one of the number one contenders. He got a bye essentially to SummerSlam, and then they had a little tournament, a tournament where they had 2 fatal 4-way matches, and then the winners of those fatal 4-way matches faced each other in the main event that night on Raw, and the winner of that match goes on to SummerSlam to wrestle Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. And just cutting straight to the chase, Finn Balor made his WWE Raw debut. He won his match, and Roman Reigns won the second match. So Finn Balor was set to fight. Finn Balor fought Roman Reigns in the main event of Monday Night Raw. And, of course, you had your people all over the Twitter bots and everything saying, well, this one's going to end, Roman Reigns is going to beat Finn Balor, and how, they're going to just push Roman over Finn Balor, and they're going to kill him before he or whatever stupid crap they say usually. Well, guess what happened? Finn Balor defeated Roman Reigns. Coup de grace off the top rope. 1, 2, 3. Roman taking the fall for the second night in a row. Talk about punishment. So, Finn Balor is now set to face Seth Rollins for the WWE Universal Championship at SummerSlam. And I gotta be honest with you, if you're going to have a match for a brand new championship to establish its importance, it's a damn good one to have. Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. I am absolutely looking forward to that. And then over on the SmackDown side, they did what did they do? They did like a Battle Royal, I think, at the beginning for a 6-pack challenge to have the 6th person in there. And then I'm not exactly sure who won. I didn't actually catch that as far as the participants were in there. I know Dolph Ziggler was one, Baron Corbin, John Cena, AJ Styles, and I don't remember offhand, I apologize, who the other 2 were in that match. Bray Wyatt was one, and I'm not sure who won that Battle Royal and who got in, but either way, you half expected AJ Styles to win, and the other half of you maybe expected John Cena to win, to go to SummerSlam to wrestle Dean Ambrose. Instead, it was Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler got the win, and now he's getting a WWE Heavyweight Championship shot at Dean Ambrose at SummerSlam. So right off the bat, you've got your WWE title match, Dean Ambrose defending against Dolph Ziggler. And then for the brand new WWE Universal Heavyweight title, you have Finn Balor taking on Seth Rollins. I mean, back-to-back, those are 2 top quality matches. That right there alone sold me on SummerSlam. Not to mention, you're probably going to get John Cena versus AJ Styles one more time, and those matches are always good too. So, I'm looking forward to that. That SummerSlam, it's going to be really good. And then, yeah, there'll be more on that. Between here and Turnbuckle Talk, we'll cover you for SummerSlam. All right, so some more news here. Brock Lesnar, speaking of the devil there, Brock Lesnar, who's going to be wrestling Randy Orton at SummerSlam, by the way, will in fact not be suspended by WWE. For those that are not in the know, Brock Lesnar fought recently at UFC 200, and he took the fight kind of on short notice, so he didn't actually follow the drug testing protocol. He followed the drug testing protocol, but they did not have the results before the fight like they would with any of the other fighters. Lesnar's results came in after the fight had already happened, after he had already beat Mark Hunt and won at UFC 200. Brock Lesnar failed 2 UFC drug tests for performance-enhancing substances. Now, they don't know exactly what UFC is going to do about it, but WWE is going to do nothing. Per TMZ Sports, they released a statement saying that only full-time performers are subject to the organization's wellness policy. Brock has only performed in 19 matches in the past 3 years, whereas the average WWE superstar performs more than 200 matches a year. A source to that publication, TMZ Sports, broke it down to them like this, quote, WWE is show business, not a regulated athletic competition, and the wellness program is only designed to keep the full-time performers healthy. Here's my take on that. Real quick. Just a real quick take on that. I don't know how I would feel if I'm going on the road wrestling an average 200 matches a year. 2 times a night, 3 times a night sometimes, back to back, Raw, SmackDown, promotional appearance, this, radio, Good Morning America, Get Ready America, haha, not yet, maybe sometime in the future, maybe we'll be big enough for that, but Good Morning America, Kids' Choice Awards, the ESPYs, like all these different things, and you've got them running around like crazy, and if they, and I'm not encouraging this, but if they were to take the edge off a little bit, smoke a little marijuana or something, or take a pre-workout supplement that may have something that is banned, because that's banned substance list changes like the weather in Rochester, New York. It changes like the weather. So maybe they're working out, maybe they're taking a supplement that they've been taking for a while, and then all of a sudden the banned substance list changed, and boom, you get popped for something that you've been taking regularly. Look at Maria Sharapova in tennis, for example. See how that worked out for her. She got a 2 or 3 year ban now. But same thing. Same thing, I think. Now, if I'm a performer that's performing 200 times a year, and here comes this guy who's only performed 19 times in the past 3 years, and you're not going to hold him to any of the standards that you would hold somebody else, for performance-enhancing drugs or whatever, how am I supposed to feel? I'm sure Brock Lesnar, and I'm a big fan of Brock Lesnar, a very big fan. I'm sure Brock Lesnar will be absolutely fine and professional, but what the hell? Competitive advantage. You might be gassed, he might not be. He's built as this big monster freak, whatever, and you're just average Joe wrestler that's, there every night and not appreciated because the marquee attraction is there and he's able to do whatever he wants. Like, I don't get that. I think that's richly unfair. And that's my thoughts on that. But who am I? Breaking news for you sports fans. Ichiro just picked up hit number 2,998. Dude's a legend. I don't care what you say, Pete Rose. Okay, back to wrestling. Shelton Benjamin and Rhino make their official returns to the SmackDown brand soon. Rumor has it as well that Kurt Hawkins, who's appeared on this podcast before, Tommy Dreamer, and Carlito, the aforementioned Universal Heavyweight Champion of WWC, have either been sent offers or will be sent offers for a return. Brand-exclusive pay-per-views are going to be returning, starting with Backlash in September. Shane McMahon announced that live in the ring on SmackDown this past Tuesday. And for all of you Lucha Underground fans, and I'm talking about you specifically, Mr. Perez, Season 3 of Lucha Underground has been set for Wednesday, September 7th at 8 p.m. on El Rey Network. Now, last week on BLTD, the Better Alive and Dead podcast, Mr. Perez said that meaning me, that I can't get into Lucha Underground because there's something wrong with me. Well, here's the real reason why I have a hard... Actually, you know what? I've been going a little long. I'm a little long-winded here. Let me get this last final piece here real quick, and then I'll cut to commercial break, and I'll come back with my Lucha Underground thoughts and why I don't get into it. The last piece of news that I have: WWE has released ZZ Lupe. I don't know. I don't really know the guy. I've seen his picture around, but WWE releases ZZ from his contract. He was a popular contestant in the last Tough Enough series, but ultimately lost the contest, regardless of his popularity, to the now NXT superstar Bronson Matthews. All right, been talking long, very long-winded. One-man show today. Coming back with my Lucha Underground thoughts, my response to Perez from BLTD. Then we're going to go over a couple more results from the IWF Summer Bash and end on a thought. This is Talking Wrestling right here on the Gear Radio Network. You know, I'm often asked about the logos of the show and Gear Network and everything. It comes to me, JC, where do you get the designs, the cool designs for the show and everything? And I want to tell you, I'm going to tell everybody right now, right here, you heard it here, it is Indie Card Media. Indie Card Media is a local business that specializes in making quality designs for your website or your business. Whatever you do, they can do it. If you need proof, you can look at all of our logos, or you can go to facebook.com/IndieCardMedia to see all of the designs, which include a political banner, because they've done political banners and, I mean, everything. Nothing is off limits with them. Give Eric a shout at IndieCardMafia@gmail.com, and he will help you bring your design to life. Tell him Gear Network sent you, and hey, he may hook you up with a little something, or at least a smile, because you heard it here. But go to Indie Card Media Facebook. Again, facebook.com/IndieCardMedia. Do it now. Bring your designs to life.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Mr. Gabriel Soul.
And I'm Pat G.
The G stands for gangster. And you are listening to the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, baby.
Every week live and exclusively on the Gear Network,
where we talk about indie wrestling, national wrestling, WWE, TNA, ROH, every single independent wrestling scene that we get information on, plus our opinions on such.
Find it only on the Gear Network app, iTunes, and more.
You always got to go to GearNetwork.com to tune in and listen to my voice every single week, because I know you love it. And the reason why is because you get eargasms, baby.
And if you want those eargasms, tune in every week. Otherwise, we only have one word for you.
Cyclone!
From the Gear Network studios, once again, JC Money. Alright, everybody, we are back here on Talking Wrestling. This is episode 39 here on the Gear Radio Network, and this particular segment of the show, once again, ladies and gentlemen, sponsored by Patriot Lawn Care and Landscaping. Let me tell you something. I have an actual testimonial now. I'll turn the music down here, but listen to this. I have a testimonial here because I had these guys come and do my lawn. I have a party that I'm going to be hosting at my Gear Network. You know, it's invite only. If you didn't get invited, you know, nothing personal. Actually, yeah, you're all not welcome here. Just a select few. But anyways, crunch for time, got a lot going on, the real 9 to 5, pumping out this podcast for you, you know, getting everything prepared, wife's working inside the house, I got to coordinate getting all the supplies and the food and everything, because Chef Money is going to be doing his chef thing like he always does, because he kicks ass on the grill. And I didn't really have time to do the lawn this time, but I'll tell you what I did. I didn't really pick up the phone. I reached out to my good buddy, Dan Germain. And Dan Germain, let me tell you a little bit about him. He is a member of the military, proud member of the military, serving your country. And first of all, I salute him for that. And secondly, he founded Patriot Lawn Care and Landscaping. And I will tell you this. The guys they have working for them, top notch. Believe me. I don't want to keep making too many Donald Trump references. It's just very easy to do. But anyways, they offer lawn care, edging and mulching, power washing, fall cleanup, gutter cleaning, snow removal. I'll tell you what, I met this guy named Joe. He came over, he did my lawn, no problem. I was at work, he gave me a call, gave me a quick inspection, gave me a decent price. I came home, let me tell you something. This yard was spotless. This yard was nice. The edge up was amazing that he did on my sidewalk. I mean, it was great. I would take a picture of it if I didn't have so much goddamn dead grass. But anyways, Facebook.com/Patriot Lawn and Landscape. They are a sponsor of this segment. Call 585-465-3409. Tell them we sent you, and they will give you $5 off your first 2 cuts. That's right. They're going to hook you up. First 2 cuts, $5 off. And the best part, and this is why I called them over anybody else, not just because of the fact that I know Dan Germain, and I've known him for years, not just because of the fact that he's a buddy of mine, and that we banter on the Bills and the Jets every single year, and at least for the past 5 or 6, we've both been disappointed together. Patriot Lawn and Landscaping will donate some of the proceeds from your purchase with them to help local veterans in Rochester. And I will tell you what, that's near and dear to me. That's a win-win. I felt I took a great amount of pride coming here, looking at my yard, seeing how it was done, and knowing that veterans are being helped with my purchase. And you will too. They will hook you up. They are great. Give them a shout. Tell them I sent you. Tell them Gear Network sent you. $5 off your first 2 cuts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and run through the IWF Summer Bash results here on Results Central here on Talking Wrestling. And I apologize. I'm going to apologize. There are some names on here that I may horribly mispronounce. You can get at me if you want. Randy Philibert defeated Ryan Cassidy, Dewey, and Rob Sweet. Jay Flyer and Vince Valor defeated Mike Skyros and Terrell Kenneth due to outside interference by sponsor Jimmy Z, who's one of the sponsors for IWF. Mark House defeated I.B. Green, a.k.a. Rob Cook. Now, let me tell you a little about that. Originally, Mark House was supposed to wrestle Bobby Ocean. As I understand, Bobby Ocean had a little bit of a car accident en route to IWF, and because of that, he was unable to make the show. He is all right. I did get confirmation from IWF that it wasn't anything serious. So look forward to seeing, hopefully, Bobby Ocean at IWF in the near future. But I.B. Green happened to be there, and he stepped in to face Mark House. The winner was going to go face Sean Carr. Obviously, I.B. Green has strong ties to Sean Carr. I don't know. Rob, did you go by I.B. Green there, or did they, or did you go by Rob Cook, your real name, like you've been going everywhere else? I'm not sure. I'll have to figure that out. But in any event, the winner of that match was going to go on later that night to face Sean Carr. Mark House defeated I.B. Green, Rob Cook. I don't know what to call him. Beautiful Bee defeated Patsy Blue. And the story to that match was their sisters. So, Beautiful Bee defeats her sister, Patsy Blue. Ron Falco, Santo, it's an inside joke, Falco knows what I'm talking about, defeats my man, Big Cat Lemmer, in a street fight. Hellcat versus Chris Caden was scheduled to be a one-on-one match, and then it turned into a tag team match between Caden's team, known as Defiance, and Hellcat's team, known as the Rock City Wrecking Crew, and that ended in a no contest. Not sure exactly what's going to happen in August as far as those two teams go, but apparently, from what I understand, they do not like each other, so be on the lookout for that. Gavin Glass defeated Michael Kinger in a contract on a pole match to save his contract. Good job, Gavin Glass. Cody Deaner defeats Kevin Bennett. The IndyCard Mafia defeated the Homewreckers and Super Beasts, handing the Buffalo Club their first official loss. Let that one, as Chris Jericho would say, drink it in, man. And then in the main event, Sean Carr defeated Mark House to retain the IWF Heavyweight Championship. All right, now before we went to the commercial break, I was talking a little bit about Lucha Underground. And Mr. Perez said on the Better Live Than the Dead podcast, which you can hear on Gear Radio Network, this is episode 93, done very well. They came to you live from the Santiago Cigar Factory, which is one of my favorite spots, and I will be going there hopefully at some point this weekend. Mr. Perez said that they were talking a little bit about wrestling, and Perez said something about Lucha Underground, and I've pulled no punches. I've not bashed it like I have TNA or anything like that, but I've watched Lucha Underground, and just I can't get into it. I don't know why. I've tried 2 or 3, 4 times, can't get into it. Perez said on there, John can't get into Lucha Underground because there's something wrong with him. So here's the real reason. I did some thinking because I'm like, it is wrestling. I should like it. I hear a lot of things about it. I should like it. Why am I not liking it? So I went on demand and I watched it again and just watched it over and over. And again, I couldn't quite put my finger on why it just wasn't registering with me, why it wasn't clicking with me like WWE does, like NXT does, like ECW did, like New Japan does, like TNA at one point did, like Ring of Honor does. like most independent, like good independent wrestling promotions that I could watch do. But for some reason, Lucha Underground, I just can't get into it. And I thought about it, and I think I finally found the reason as to why I cannot get into Lucha Underground. So bear with me here. Lucha Underground is a TV show that is wrestling-centric. Okay? It is produced as a television show about professional wrestling. Whereas WWE is a sports entertainment, aka pro wrestling show, that's on television. So, the difference in styles is that WWE has always kind of presented themselves, regardless of era, in some way, shape, or form, they present themselves as kind of, it's quote-unquote scripted entertainment, but they present themselves as not being scripted. They present themselves as being somewhat of an actual sports / soap opera-y kind of deal. Whereas Lucha Underground does the exact opposite of that. They're at a centralized location with, people that are in attendance, that are in the cast or whatever, and they treat it very much like a television show and not like a professional wrestling company. So it's hard for me, I think, to get into the show knowing that there's a season premiere and there's a season finale, and then there's time off, and then the theatrics, behind the scenes or whatever, the acting that goes on there, it's very much acting. And I mean, some of the action on there that from the matches I've seen, I've enjoyed, but it's not, to me, it's just very, very scripted. It's a wrestling sitcom is what it boils down to me. Is I look at it and I see a wrestling sitcom. I don't see a wrestling promotion. I don't see live events. I don't see anything that's going to make that's going to make me invest in their champion. That's going to make me look at their champion and say, okay, this champion, yes, he's wrestling and he's defending the title here, but he's also traveling to here with that title and defending it at a live house show and building that brand. I mean, even TNA does that. And so I think from that aspect, because it's a television show that's based upon wrestling instead of a wrestling show that happens to be on television, I believe that's why I cannot fully get into Lucha Underground and I guess appreciate it for what it's going for or what it is. I'm not sure, but that's my opinion. That's why I can't get into Lucha Underground, and I hope that I can. I hope that I can come around because the matches there really weren't. I mean, there was a couple of matches that I saw that the botches were, very botchamania worthy and very obvious. And you would think that being a TV show they would have cut that out, but they didn't, and that's okay. But so maybe I'll get into it, maybe I won't, I don't know. But like I said earlier, September the 7th, Wednesday night, September 7th, on El Rey Network at 8 p.m., Lucha Underground Season 3 will be there. And Perez, you know what? If you want to try and if you want to talk to me about Lucha Underground, if you want to come on this podcast and talk Lucha Underground, I'll be more than happy to have you on so you can give a Lucha Underground update or, sell me on it. Maybe my whole perception of it is not, maybe you can do a better sell job than El Rey Network has. So, and all right, so that's going to do it for this podcast really quickly. Before I go ahead and get into the usual specifics, I want to take the opportunity again to thank all of you listeners, every single one of you, for the incredible amounts of playbacks and downloads and everything this year. This season for Talking Wrestling. It certainly caught me off guard. It started right away with the season premiere when I had Trip on there, and we hit 250 or whatever as far as plays go, and that told me something. When the past few episodes have been really up there, and again, it's just a word of mouth podcast. It really is, social network and word of mouth, and you guys have been just awesome. And I want to take the opportunity. I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank everybody that has sponsored the show. I want to thank everybody that's put us over. IWF, you've done a tremendous job with putting us over, and hopefully we've done a good job with you guys as well. And I like to keep that partnership going. Just thank you, everybody. Really, thank you. The season finale is due upon us. 2, maybe 3 more podcasts left in this season before the week after SummerSlam. So we're going to have a good few episodes left. I'm going to go out with a bang, I'll tell you that much, as far as this season goes. But then from there, we'll go into the Football Talk Weekly podcast, and you never know. If duty calls for it sometime in the Talking Wrestling off season, there may very well be a special podcast that pops up, maybe for Survivor Series, maybe to prep you for Royal Rumble or talk that. And then usually right around WrestleMania time is when this podcast kicks back up. So, but it's been a fun season, and I appreciate all of you for listening and giving feedback. And for all of you wrestlers that have wanted to come on the show, that did come on the show, and that still want to continue to come on the show, I appreciate all of you. And at some point, I'll get you all on. Real quick, I did make an announcement earlier today that I've elected to remain on the bench for the rest of 2016. And if you've listened to the past few podcasts, you know why. I'm not going to get into it. Bottom line is that wrestling, for some, is life. And I can understand that. But for me, it's not. And it never was. Okay, maybe it was prior to 2010. But when my first daughter was born, that really sealed it for me. I went, the minute I laid eyes on her, my whole life changed. It really did. And I don't understand how people can look negatively on that, because there have been people that have looked at that very thing negatively. I can still love pro wrestling, and I do very much, and I'm very proud of having been a wrestler, being a wrestler. I was able to get in the ring this year, for a couple of sparring sessions with Mark House, and I know I can perform, and the shoulder will hold up. So I got that bit of curiosity, out of me. But when places that are not necessarily the greatest promotions run by the greatest people, and I say people, not run by the greatest people, because professionally they're scumbags, and personally they're much worse. Saying that they're scumbags is an insult to scumbags. But when those people get so full of their own press and so full of their dream that they just hold on to and they grasp and they love, this is their dream, this is their life, this is all they've wanted to be. Never mind they have to have a real 9-to-5 because they have real responsibilities. Never mind the fact that they have kids or a wife or grandkids or whatever. Never mind any of that. I get to be a pro wrestler, or at least say that I can. I get to entertain your kids. Meanwhile, I'm not doing anything with mine. I'm not like that. I've never been like that. Not from the moment my daughter was born, my first daughter. Because I have 2. I love them to death. I love my family to death. Wrestling does not define me. What defines me as a man is who I am and what I stand for. I have gone to battle with defending my family against legit family, blood family, against wrestling, the wrestling family. I've done that. There's a golden rule that you don't go after the man's family. If a wrestler has a problem with another wrestler, you take it up with that wrestler. You handle it like men, like professionals, like the professional that the title of professional wrestler indicates. You go after them. You handle your business with them. You don't try to do things to take food off of that man's table. The man that's feeding those kids that look up to him, that have absolutely no goddamn idea about wrestling. No worries about wrestling. No cares about wrestling. No knowledge of wrestling. When your fantasy becomes your reality, and because of that, you interfere with the wrong person's reality, man. That's something that's a very, very hard thing to shake off. I was set to wrestle for the first time in 4 years. I was looking forward to it. I was going to have fun. I was going to remember why I fell in love with wrestling. And then as the weeks progressed and it was leading up to that point in time, I began to remember the reason why I hated it. Especially in this area. When those... And again, this is going to be another week where I'm going to let some swears fly. It's not typical for this podcast, but I'm gonna. When other shithead bastard started involving my family with their beef, with their professional turn, personal grudge they had with me, that's where I drew a line. I'm not saying this to be a big tough guy. I'm not saying this to for ratings. I'm not saying this to be intimidating or anything like that. I'm saying that I know who I am. I know me. And entertaining my kids is far greater than entertaining someone else's. I would be unable to entertain my kids from behind bars. Because I will tell you, there's plenty of times you've heard stories about wrestlers going after one another and brawls breaking out. New Jack and one of the Nasty Boys. It's a prime example. New Jack and Brian Knobbs. Prime example. Well, had I went July 9th, I would have played the role of New Jack to that particular Brian Knobbs. Not the legit Brian Knobbs, but the one that would be playing the role of Brian Knobbs. He knows who he is. For that reason, I know me. I know me. Well, JC, you could have been a pro. You could have been a pro about it. No, I couldn't have, because it became personal. If it were a professional grudge, I guarantee you, if it were a professional beef, it would have been long over. Long over. It wouldn't have gotten this far. I would have wrestled. Hell, I probably would have wrestled more than once. It would have been over. But he made it personal. And because of that personal beef, and because of what happened this past weekend, after the latest podcast, Talking Wrestling podcast, came out, I'm fine if you're going to create accounts to troll me, even though I'm not relevant, quote unquote, right? I am not fine when wrestling crosses that line into personal and starts going after personal and attacking personal members of my family. I have no place for that. So the flame that I had, that was burning, that once again was raging, that I had idea after idea after idea about, for this appearance and whatever. And there was very likely going to be another tour. Has been completely extinguished. And for the rest of 2016, I'm going to try and find that love again. Because I do feel like I owe everybody one. At least one. I owe everybody one more. But if I don't love it, I'm not going to do it. It's half-ass, and you don't deserve that. The companies that would be booking me don't deserve that. It'd be half-ass. And that's not me. That's not me at all. So I've elected to sit out the rest of 2016. Maybe I'll come back in 2017. Maybe I'll do something. Maybe I won't. That flame doesn't come back. I can tell you right now, if the ball drops on New Year's Day and the flame has not returned, I'm done totally. Done totally with wrestling. Under no circumstances would I return. If the flame is not back at all or burning in the slightest by 2017, I'm not coming back. I'll just stick to podcasting about it. Because that's fun. This is fun to me. Interviewing other wrestlers and putting them over and getting their product over and getting their brand over. That's fun to me. I don't need to come to a wrestling show, watch a bunch of immature bastards play grab ass with one another, and then backstab one another, but still be bros with one another. That ain't my game. I don't like any of that. I'm not going for it. So that was the announcement I made earlier today. That's how I'm going to end this podcast, the 39th episode. Please continue to support good independent wrestling. It's out there. You got to find it. But when you do, you will be greatly rewarded. Thanks for tuning in. So long, everybody. Good night now.
The recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.